Okay, I want to talk about shims. You know, when we need a shim, when we don't, and then how to go about putting one in. All right, so you've got everything mounted up, and one of the most important things we need to identify right away is whether or not you need a shim or not. And the way we tell that, the rest is down in this instance, but you're gonna line your string up in your rest, and your string is gonna come right up somewhere right in the edge of the glass. So while you're looking right at this point, you know, looking through the tube with the string on the edge and the string in the center of the rest, you should be able to see straight through the tube. The tube shouldn't look like it's kicked out for like a right-hander to the left a little bit. If that's the case, it just means it's how your bow is set up, how your cams are set up. The string is sitting off to the right just a little bit. So in that case, we'll end up using a 10 or 20 thousandths shim between our mount and the riser, just to change the angle of your sight a little bit. If you need a shim and you're not using one, it will feel like you either have to torque your bow to see the dot, or you're gonna have your hand away from your face. The shim will rectify that. So, okay, you don't need anything fancy to put a shim in. It's very simple. So we've got the bow sitting in here and vise, but the easiest way to do it is take your mount off because you had it on and you realized something wasn't right. I think I need a shim. Take your bow, set it on your table. Pick whichever shim you want. 10. I usually like to start out with 10. Loosen your base mount up and just drop your shim in, and hopefully it doesn't fall out. Drop your shim in between the riser and the mount. Then this Matthews is much easier, but you can come back, you can still look at it on most, and there's holes cut in that shim, so you can look at it, make sure it's sitting right around those screws, okay? Then come back and tighten your base mount back up. So the reason that shim is only on one side of the screws is because we're changing the angle of the tube to match that angle that your string is sitting off. So you got the shim installed in the back. Take your mount, put it back on. Then you can go back to don't worry about your knob at this point. Until you start sighting in for distances, then you can put the knob back on. Just leave it. You can shoot it without the knob. It's not necessary to have it. Come back. Put your mount, your red dot back on. And all this would be the same whether you're using a fixed mount, an adjustable, or if you had a rail, you know, everything, it works the same. So now get your red dot back on, then go back, line your string up in the middle of the rest, follow your string up, and make sure you can see straight through the tube. We don't want it to look like that tube is angled one way or the other. We want to see full circle straight through while our string is centered in the rest. So putting a shim in is about that simple. But a shim is very important because it affects so much. The red dot wants to be on the same angle as where your string is as you draw back. And if your string is sitting off to the right and the red dot's over here, it just makes it really difficult for you to see it. And it just depends on what bow you have, whether we need a shim or how much shim we need. So identifying that, making that little adjustment really helps. Sometimes it's just a matter of your form and you like the way 10,000 shim feels, you know, and playing with it, knowing how to put it in will save you a lot of headache.